Well, the saying "day late and a dollar short" couldn't be more accurate after what happened yesterday with all my technical issues, but it actually worked out for the best. Ted got another day of camp observations in his belt, so in a way it works out. It's weird. You know what we're going to talk about first, so get your popcorn. Me and Ted don't usually argue, but sometimes we say different sides of the same coin. So, Ted, first of all, how you doing, man?
Good. Can't complain. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Aaron. We got our technical difficulties out of the way from yesterday and ready to chop it up. Talk about camp today. Interesting day for sure at camp. They all are. So I'm just excited. Just was trying to figure out where the show was here so I could quote tweet it and just say, "Hey, we're live." But there we go. No, I'm excited to see you. And I just wish you were out here for some of the practices, but maybe we'll get
Me
that going.
too. I was talking to my mom about that the other day, my brother. I'm like, yeah, I should go to 49ers practice. And my mom's like, but you still got to go on a plane. I'm like, oh, yeah. Oh, that's anxiety ridden. They'd have to put me to bed or put me to sleep, put me in the cargo hold or something and wish for the best. Yeah. So, of course, quarterback talk's been all the buzz. Big surprise, right? Color me shocked.
Yeah.
Today, based on your evaluation and a couple other people, it seemed like a pretty solid day. I mean, I think you had Sam Darnold 1, Trey Lance or Brock Purdy 2, Trey Lance 3. They had a pretty good day the other day too. I thought was it Monday? I'm trying to think what day it was, but like you moved the ball period wasn't too great today, but overall, I mean, we talked offline or talked off air about Brock Purdy. He's not quite back yet. And then Kyle kind of said it himself and kind of acknowledged and pretty much made what you said true. Like, he's there. They have confidence he's going to be the guy, but he's definitely not who he was at the end of last year. How has the experience been in camp so far, watching all the quarterbacks, and how much grief have you gotten for your honest opinions for Brock Purdy for all this Brock Purdy stands that just can't listen to any negative critiques of our savior quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, I keep telling people, look, I really like Brock. I just don't like the hyperbole around him, the QB wins thing. QB wins can be misleading, especially when you've got the best weapons group in the NFL. You've got a really solid line last year. You got the number 1 D last year, and you got Kyle calling the plays. So QB wins can be a little bit misleading, especially when I like to say Brock played mostly bad and banged up D's. So and then this training camp, I've been saying Purdy isn't back to his normal self, and people are like, "Oh, who's your source? Who's your source on that, Ted?" And I'm like, "Hey, I've been to 5 freaking practices, now 6. Like, I'm my own source, right? Come
Right,
on,
baby.
Jesus." Not only that, but I've been sitting with like Raj, Rohan, Jesse, Ryan, Steph. So like we all talk about what we saw, and we all kind of, oh yeah, and bounce things off each other. So I'm not gonna say I couldn't figure it out myself, but definitely there's a lot of times when like one of us doesn't see something, or one person sees one part and the other part sees another, and it helps to have as many groups, sets of eyes there, because you only have one angle. There's no instant replay, and there's no super slow mo, and there's no zoom, right? So I mean, basically it helps to have a lot of sets of eyes and a lot of people to bounce ideas off. And anyway, and then I was vindicated today when Kyle said basically like, yeah, Purdy's not back, but we're not worried. He'll get there. He's the real deal. But he basically confirmed that Purdy is not himself yet in camp of what he was in 2022. And I think, and that's fine. I mean, I wasn't expecting him to be 100% yet. It's just a lot of people, a lot of reporters were kind of reporting things in a way that made it sound like he was like, oh, and a lot of people I think confuse clear to practice with full go, clear to play a game, because he is not ready to play a game yet. Period. Point blank. So he's getting better. He was probably the best QB on Tuesday. He was one of the better ones today. But I really think it's kind of like a dead heat. I mean, I think Darnold was the best Sunday. Lance was the best Monday. So the best day was probably Monday because Purdy was pretty decent Monday. Darnold was second, and Lance was the best. And then like Tuesday, when Purdy was number one and Lance was number two, Darnold was a distant third. But now Darnold's back up on top again today, and not by a lot. I think they're all really close. I think I said Purdy was a close second, and Lance was a close third today. So yeah, I think really at this point it's getting to be kind of a dead heat with those three. And it's very interesting that Brandon Allen didn't practice today. So like maybe they agree, like, hey, let's figure out between these three who's the best. And like, Brandon Allen, he should be on the practice squad, period. There's no reason to waste a lot of practice reps. I mean, you should have him so if an emergency happens, he ends up having to play. He's had some reps, but it shouldn't be an even switch. And I'm just noticing my lights aren't on, so I'll leave my mic on, but I'm going to kill my cam while I do this.
Yep. So I'll say that training camp to me, it's we talked off stream, and I want to know if the chat agrees with this, but like it matters and it doesn't matter. And I think a lot of us who are fans of certain players will kind of take things and pick and choose what matters and what doesn't matter. I didn't even realize Brock Purdy was going against the ones. So in a way, even though he's not himself, and he's struggling, and maybe he's efficient or whatever, to me that it gives me a little more confidence. But for me personally, I never thought he would be ready if they say he was cleared by, say, like the end of August. That would have been the worst thing to do to ever force him to play week one, right? And when everyone was saying, maybe week 4, 6, whatever.
So it's the same thing now.
Right. So now him struggling and having issues and looking not perfect.
No big deal.
It like the season's literally like what, a little bit over a month away.
Yeah.
He has plenty of time to become whoever we expected him to be from the end of last year. Again, me and Ted talked off stream. I said, I wouldn't be surprised, and this would cause a absolute just nuclear fallout on 49er land if they gave him a rest and he took a week off and stuff. I'm not saying that that's anything being reported. I'm just saying, can you imagine? Here we go again. This I thought this was over with Jimmy leaving town, but it's not. Listen, I'll say this again. I don't care who the quarterback is as long as he wins. I am more comfortable with Purdy now, but that doesn't mean Trey Lance can't change my mind and become, the GOAT, so to speak, and become the guy that we all thought he could be. So I'm not really worried about any of this until it starts affecting wins and losses. I'm not really worried about the preseason, to be honest with you, because most of our starters shouldn't play in the preseason. Trey should get a lot of work in the preseason. I really do believe that. But who is he going to play with, though? He's not going to play with McCaffrey. He's not going to play with Ayuk or Debo. So it's going to be a tough optic for people who are paying attention to stuff to really get a good grasp of how much he's improved when he's playing with like B-level talent. But I'm okay. I'm okay with everything right now. Training camp, they haven't even hit their first game yet. They haven't had their first padded practice with another team yet. So I'm glad that there is a kind of an even kind of feeling between the quarterbacks right now, that nobody's really running away with it per se. It's a good problem to have, and it could be a lot worse considering they're going against some of the better Brock's going against some of the starting defense. So all in all, I'm not really surprised at all what is going on. I am surprised that 49er Twitter is a mess and that everybody just so angry at each other, and it causes like super big time division in the fan base. But are we really surprised?
No, not in the least. I mean, not if you were around for Joe and Steve or Cap versus Alex or
Very territorial.
Jimmy versus Lance. Purdy versus Lance is just an extension of that. Yeah, the winning thing, it's important. But I'm kind of at the point where if we don't win number 6, I'm going to be unhappy with whoever the quarterback is. Just getting to the NFC Championship game is not good enough anymore, especially now that we added Hargrave. We still have the best group of weapons. We're going to have CMC for a full season. Debo supposedly in shape. Like, this team needs to win a Super Bowl quickly. As far as Purdy going against the first team, he is, but well, he sort of is. On Tuesday, most of his completions were against Ambry Thomas, and Ambry, not only is he not first team, Ambry is very likely to not be on any team come cut down day. At least not our team. Maybe he'll get picked up by somebody, but that guy is burnt toast. It happened again today. Jesse tweeted it about, like, the sun rises and whoever's on Ambry, water's wet, bears pooping in the woods,
sky's blue.
Yeah,
Ambry Thomas
getting cooked. On a regular basis. So that's not first team D. And the thing that I would also caution people about is that our defense is really, really, really deep, and our weapons are really, really not. There's a big drop off after Ayuk. Even Jennings is not, the same as those other guys, as Kittle, Debo, Ayuk, and CMC. And then especially after Jennings, and there's another big drop off. And our second team D has been incredible. Kinlaw has been incredible, and he's definitely been better than like Armstead or Hargrave. And that's because those guys are vets. They don't have to prove anything. They're already starters. But as of today, John Chapman tweeted that there was actually a 5 D lineman set, and they pulled Kinlaw up to the first team D. I don't know how many plays that was for. I don't think it was every play by any stretch of the imagination, but at least for one play they did. So they're starting to see that too. So that's my thing is, like, and when Lance went against the first team TD, he never had CMC. He still has not had CMC. So he had, maybe one play he would have a guy like Ayuk, and then 3 guys that are, I sometimes call them scrubs. That's a little bit mean or pejorative to say, but they're definitely second or third or fourth tier guys. Tay Martin, Chris Conley, Latu, they're either not great or they're very young. So, like I said, keep in mind that nobody else has really had the full run of the first team weapons either. So, and it kind of made me think about something too, which is, last offseason, why did we have Purdy at QB3 to start week 1? If we pretty much most people agree he was our best QB in 2022, shouldn't he have at least competed for QB1 so the 2 QBs didn't have to get hurt so we could even find out what he could do? And part of the reason why is because he's on the third team. Those offensive weapons are weak, and our D was very deep last year as well. So he just didn't look that good.
It's hard to evaluate.
And, some people say he got better doing the scout team. I'm sure he did. He said he did. But how much? It's just like, it's a shame that we don't know. It's a shame that we didn't have a real benchmark. And we're kind of doing it again this season with Lance, not giving him the same opportunities as what Purdy's getting. And it's just, it irks me. I had this tweet where I said the same people that, basically said, we made a mistake, handing Lance the starting job last year, are like, hey, it's fine to hand Purdy the starting job this year. And I get that Purdy has more of a resume in regular season, but that would only be if Purdy was healthy and hadn't had this UCL. Now that he has, like, it's all up in the air. Like, he hasn't been the 2022 Purdy. And so at least until we see that, you can't just say, oh, Purdy's better in games, because we don't know what he's going to be like in games this year. So
we have to see that. We have to see more of that to come.
It's a stretch.
To a conclusion that he's better in games and that Trey Lance is needs that they might cut him, or so, like some people were saying, or guys like Mike Silver. They're the guys who are not at practice, or if they are, I don't know where they are. I'll take all my fellow content creators that have been at training camp, their word over people that are searching for clicks. Real quick, I just want to say hello to a lot of people in here. We got East Coast Red and Gold podcast. How are you doing, my friend?
Jess.
David McNiner. Hi, Jess. David McNiner, one of my 49er co-hosts on Monday with Niners Coast to Coast. We have another one in here, Ty Alston. I'm sure Brian Culp is up there in the top 2. Let's see. There he is. Well, that's my other crew. And and we've had a good time so far. I got one of my gaming buddies on here who just loves to bust my balls about Kansas City. So, but I love him. Bebop Jones, what's going on, man? He says, I hope Sammy Womack, third number 0, shows up and shows out. Yeah, that'd be interesting. We need to know something about this depth.
He was in coverage on Debo when Purdy went incomplete against Debo Deep. So in the first series.
Some guys do better in actual games than practice. You just don't know until you put. Yeah, that was Jeff Garcia. I heard he was an awful practice player.
Jimmy G too.
Jimmy G. Well, Jimmy G wasn't necessarily great in games. He was
but
serviceable.
It wasn't 5 picks in a row either, though, right?
Yeah, he didn't throw 5 picks in a row. Let's talk. Let's change the subject a little bit and go into the Nick Bosa contract. Day 7 of training camp. Still no Nick Bosa. Are you concerned?
I don't know if I'd say concerned, but I would like to see him out there. I mean, you want to talk about the first team D and beating the first team D for Purdy?
Yep.
It'd be a lot bigger accomplishment if John Bosa was on the field. Nicholas John Bosa, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a little worried. Only because it seems like every time you have one of these holdouts and these contracts, it's always followed by an injury. Because guys are trying to get into game shape and get the rust off, and they go way too hard, too fast, and then boom, someone's sidelined with a groin injury or a hamstring strain or whatever. For me, he's not going to touch the field in the preseason whatsoever. Like, it's not going to happen. And if they do, they'd be stupid. But I would love to see that first team defensive line at least in a scrimmage against the Raiders and see what they do. I mean, thing is, Jimmy G, I don't know how much of a barometer that is because he's like a sitting duck behind an offensive line when it crumbles. So, but I'm a little concerned. Not concerned like he isn't going to start the season, but we've heard nothing at all. Like, there's been absolutely radio silence. I think that's what really bothers me. But we kind of figured it would be like this because it is a Bosa. And they want their money, and they get their money. So,
what's your walk away number?
I think he's going to make.
No, walk away number. Like, if he wants this, we trade him.
There isn't one.
40 mil. You're cool with 40 mil a year.
No, that's a good point. I don't know if he's going for 40 mil. He's going to no. I don't think he is. I mean, what?
Probably
Aaron
not.
Donald is what, 31?
31.7 or something, yeah.
He's going to go, I would say 30.
You could say I'm a lot younger than Aaron Donald.
What's that?
You could say I'm a lot younger than Aaron Donald.
What do you mean? Well, yeah, true. And he is. And has Aaron Donald never had a season like that? 18 and a half sacks?
Probably. Yeah, he's had some pretty...
He is really good. I don't know, man. Like I don't want to think of this team without having Nick Bosa on it. I just think that would be a big mistake. It's so hard to get edge rushers nowadays, and when you have them, if they were dumb enough to trade him away, they're not going to. There's just no way. There's no way. They would trade George Kittle or Debo before they would trade Nick Bosa. I think personally, because Debo is. No,
I just feel like at some point, at some certain number, you like lock yourself into this sort of rookie QB contract thing. And it's like, we keep saying we want a franchise QB, whether it's, Lance or Purdy or whatever. But, once you get that franchise QB, eventually you're going to have to pay that franchise QB. And if Nick Bosa is on some $40 million a year contract for 5 years, that you may have to trade him at that point, and then you have less leverage when people know you got to trade him. So I don't know. I just was wondering if I don't think there's a walkaway number for everybody, right?
To break the market by almost $10 million per year,
other than maybe Pat Mahomes.
That might be the only guy that you'd be willing to do something like that for because he could make average receivers look amazing. Mm-hmm. Dude, I mean that's. Bosa will get 35 to 40 million a year, says Brian Culp. Bro, if they go $10 million over Aaron Donald, that would be that's too much. Yeah, 35, I think, is my ceiling. I think 35 will be as high as they'll go.
I'm hoping for like 32, 33 is really what I'm hoping for.
I just want to get him
or even
ready for the
31,
season.
32, just a little less than Donald or a little more than Donald. But
32 and a half.
it'll be a little
33.
more. It'll be
Right.
30.
And then they're saying, I heard a radio show saying somewhere around 90 million guaranteed. That's a lot of money guaranteed. It's a lot of money. I want to say what's up to Shasho really quick. Thanks for coming through. Shasho asked me on Twitter earlier if I was a fantasy football guy and if I'd be willing to do it. I was like, nah. I've never done it in my life. I see people do it and it's like I can't go against my own squad, dude. I can't pick against other 49er players.
Or like you root for them, but you're like, oh, you can only score 10 points, not 14. Right? Yeah. It's tough. I used to play some. I was saying that I don't play any leagues now. I just don't have time. I just got so into it for a while, and like I won one, and then I think I won 2 years in a row, or came in second and split the final game purse on both of them. One year I had I drafted CJ2K and drafted Arian Foster, so that was a really good backfield to start. And then I picked up Peyton Hillis off the waiver wire, and I had this like three-headed. Yeah, I remember he was a Brown, and he ran.
He was on the cover of Madden, and then he disappeared.
Yeah, I think he had like 1,300 yards or something. And I just had this three-headed monster that was just insanity. I had like Matt Schaub as my quarterback and just ruined people, even with it.
Schaub.
Just a meh quarterback.
Totally meh. Remember when they thought the Niners would make a play on a guy like Matt Schaub at one point?
Yeah.
How desperate you were for a quarterback. Oh. David McNiner says 33 to 35 million a season is worth every penny. 100% agree, dude. Like, I mean, too much is too much, but a player his caliber who does so much by himself, he had 18.5 sacks last year. I'm sorry, that defensive line did diddly poo around him last year. So, yeah, I just want to see him get in camp. I don't care what the numbers are, to be honest with you. It ain't my money.
Yeah.
I ain't paying him.
And speaking of like, Matt Schaub or Jimmy G or whatever, Jordan Elliott stopped by the group I was with, and Steph came by after too. We were all talking with Rohan, Jesse, and Raj, and
freaking all-star crew right there.
Yeah, Splash Cousin Jordan Elliott was basically saying, God, it's so different, today and the other day he came to camp, like how the quarterbacks all look pretty good. And it's not like with Jimmy G where you're just like, oh God, what are we going to do this season? It's going to be awful. And what a different feeling it was. So that's the good news. I mean, I think it's a three-way tie, and it's not a three-way tie because they're all sucking either. I mean, it's a three-way tie because they're all doing well. And there's a lot of hope. I'm even starting to have some hope for Sam Darnold. I mean, remember I was calling him 6 Cent Sammy there for a while. I've dropped that. I can't call him that anymore because he's been playing pretty well. So I have to give him drop some respect on his name. I still don't trust him in a game, but he's doing well in practice, and it does count for something. It's like you said, it's not everything, but it's nice to see.
I think with practice, what you want is consistency. That can trickle over to games. It's
not
just
putting the ball in harm's way.
Yeah, not constantly making turnover prone plays. That's the one thing about Purdy's been struggling with a little bit.
Pushing the ball, not just dink and dunk.
The one thing I heard from on KNBR from Matt Maiocca is oh God, my head just froze. My mind it just froze. Oh, is that Trey Lance looked really mechanical his first couple of years. I said it's his third year in this offense, and I think he's thinking less and just relying on the physical.
He looks more confident.
They said he didn't look. Matt Maiocca said he looked like he was processing while he was playing, like he wasn't just going free flow,
not instinctive.
Yeah, and that everybody knows how hard the Kyle Shanahan playbook is. This dude jumped 2 levels. He went from a Division II college to the National Football League and one of the best rosters with one of the hardest coaches to play for because of the offense being so it's wordy. There's just so much plays are based off of other plays, which are based off of other plays to get other plays open, So for Lance to be looking a lot better this preseason or this training camp than he has in the last 2 years is not a surprise. So I'm happy for him. I really am. And I hope if he gets his chance, I hope he plays really well. I hope he makes it a really difficult decision.
That's what I was saying. I was on earlier with Ryan Hensley and Rob Stats Guerrera on Ryan's show. I popped out from the stands and just went live with them on my phone. And, Rob was saying, he just is not rooting for Purdy. He doesn't want Purdy to do well. He just wants Lance to do well. And I was like, I'm not going to gatekeep your fandom over it, but definitely I feel like iron sharpens iron. I want, Lance to push Purdy and Purdy to push Lance and whoever wins to be, because they're just got made better by the competition, not just because the other person fell off a cliff type of thing. No doubt about it. Real quick, Jim Everett, the great in the house. He's talking about Matthew Dime Stafford. I guess he's saying he's better than Darnold. But Jim Everett, the great, who's Stafford throwing to today? I just saw that Cooper Kupp came up lame with a hamstring injury. I'm a little concerned about your receiving.
I can't name one player on that team anymore.
No.
Other than Stafford, Kupp, and Aaron Donald. Who do they have?
Nobody.
Give me one name.
Nobody good.
I hope that ring was worth it, because you ain't going to see one for a long time after.
It's going to be a lot.
They said as the 49ers gap between championships.
They said they were going to run it back last year, but I think they were just a year early. They're going to run it back this year, 5-12. There you go. Book it.
Stetson Bennett. Yeah, I heard he's the second coming of Tom Brady. So
he's I call him Drunk Purdy, because they thought they got Brock Purdy, but he has alcohol issues. So drunk Purdy. Yeah,
shouldn't have been our ring. Yeah, Niner fans, don't sweat him. He's just in here screwing around. I don't pay him any mind.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah, he's not. He's a troll. That's what he does.
Bash blocked him off my channel one time, and I let him back in. So,
Brandon Ayuk, I hear, is having a fantastic training camp again. Ambie Thomas seems to be the reoccurring theme with him. But I mean, overall, from what you've seen in camp, I mean, the report is he looks like he's going to have an absolute monster season. Do you agree on that premise?
Yeah, he's cooking everybody. Yeah, but including, I mean, there was some of Ambry Thomas. There was some of the even more underwhelming corner was Terrence Mitchell, who's just sort of off the street. But Ambry Thomas might be off the street soon. So, but yeah, Grant posted a stat today. He said Ayuk has 23 catches through 7 practices. So he's getting about 3.6 catches, almost 4 catches a practice, which is incredible. Incredible. Yeah, he looks uncoverable out there for sure.
That's good to know.
And his hands, he's just like magnets. He might have one drop, but I mean, I think everything else is just like count it.
I know they asked Mayoka too if it'd be possible for the 49ers to keep Debo and Ayuk, and he keeps saying it is possible if they go the route of Brock Purdy as their guy, and unfortunately, I don't know what they would do with Lance, but like they have at least another 3 years to do stuff before they even. Did they say 2 years before they can negotiate, or 3? I forget.
Not till after the next season, after 2024, then you can negotiate.
So I mean, the Niners have. We're talking about Purdy, right?
Purdy, yeah. After his third season, you can negotiate.
The Niners have can extend that window, and so it's. I don't want the Niners to be the team that plays Moneyball, kind of like the Oakland A's, because to me that doesn't make for championship teams. That I feel like you're just playing analytics and stuff. But I don't think the Niners are doing that. If they draft a guy and he works out, they're going to pay him. They're not going to siphon him off for more draft picks and try to recapture it with another player. The Niners do reward their guys, but you can't reward everybody. So as long as they're in this window with cheap quarterbacks, they're always going to have a pretty good squad all around. The thing is, and this is, I think Ryan Hensley made the point, is that you want that guy who necessarily you can have that maybe other parts of your team aren't all-star, but you have a guy, Mahomes is the perfect example of taking maybe suspect parts of your team and make them look way better because you have a quarterback that is just head and shoulders above everybody else in the National Football League. So that's the goal of all squads. I think I don't know if it's champion. You can win a championship that way. Maybe the Niners go against and buck the trend this year. Maybe they win it and they prove that at least for this year it works. But I think having that guy will always be the thing over having a pretty good guy and a bunch of other stuff around him. I think having a superstar quarterback is always the way to go. But there isn't a ton of them. I mean, there's not a ton of them in the league. You have about a handful, and then everybody else is in the same boat as the 49ers, is always trying to figure out who their quarterback's going to be. So enjoy the ride while it's here, guys, with this squad and the ability to make moves and keep guys, because it won't be forever if they find a quarterback. So running back, there's been some competition at running back. I heard that Elijah Mitchell again was hurt today. So it's been a little bit of the TDP / Jordan Mason show. Jordan Mason's had some fumbles, I've heard. What's been your opinion of Ty Davis Price and Jordan Mason? Because the word on Elijah Mitchell, I think it's an abductor strain.
I just saw that Barrows reported it. He reported Mitchell abductor, Aaron Banks concussion. That's a bummer. John Feliciano shoulder. That's really bad, especially paired with Jalen Moore below bone bruise. Well, at least Jalen Moore, it's not like a ACL or an MCL.
Yeah, he's got a bone bruise. And I don't think they say Feliciano might just be a shoulder strain.
Okay. That's good. But yeah, Elijah Mitchell injured, sun rose, sky's blue, water's wet.
Elijah Mitchell hurt.
Bear pooped in the wood.
That man is so good, but he's like D Ford. He's so good. And it's like you have to make sure that you're watching the game really closely, because it's only going to last like every time there's a what do you call moon? Not a full moon, but like when we have those eclipse, that's every 75 years. That's like him when he plays. Just like, oh, wait, he played today? Sweet. How many touches? Oh, 20. Oh, he's going to be out at least 6 weeks now. He had 20 carries, It's like, geez, man.
Trade him.
I think they need to move on from him. We got Jordan. Listen, we got Kyle Juszczyk. Yeah, we have McCaffrey, Ty Davis Price, Jordan Mason. Go make a trade and go get yourself, I don't know, another running back off free agency, or I don't know, some other guy that you
sign Dalvin Cook. I brought that up.
Sign Dalvin Cook. Yeah. It's unfortunate. And people would go, like, oh, you crack on him for being hurt. It's not that I crack on him. It's just, bro.
We never root for injuries. We never root for it, but we're not going to ignore it either.
What is it Jim Everett saying? Stetson Bennett is better than all 49er 3 QBs. Okay. Send him over then. We'll see. We'll give you the evaluation.
No, you know why he's good? Because their defense is ass. They got nobody on that D. Send him over. You watch him faceplant into the number 1 D in the NFL. That's why.
Yeah, it becomes Bosa's bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Dave McNair says, I can't wait for the week two home game at Levi's in Inglewood. That's awesome. How sad is that? You won a Super Bowl. You won a Super Bowl and you can't even sell out your own home stadium. Like, how pathetic of a fan base are you?
Yeah.
Like, I hope that championship's worth it, because you are a laughing stock. Like, that Super Bowl that was there was a joke. It was just all about celebrities. No one cared about the game. Nobody cared. And so, like, this whole thing of like, this, that, and the other, like, Levi South is essentially just Levi's in an enclosed dome. That's it. It's usually 60-40 49er fans. And we own them through the regular season. So I don't see anything changing next year. If anybody's going to beat us in that division next year, it's going to be the Seattle Seahawks, because they're supposedly a lot better. But I'll believe that when I see it too.
They didn't do much to fix their run D though.
Well, that means the Niners will still smash them. What is up, 49er minded? Yes, we finally figured out the problem was. Thank you. I talked to him late last night. He was my confidant. Jimmy Perez is in the building too. What is going on, everyone? Let's see here. Let's kick it over to Edge Rusher. We signed the Taco Charlton signing came a couple days ago. His first day, he played really well. Are you still concerned based on like one-on-one reps and stuff like that the Niners really don't have much pass rush opposite of Bosa? Is that still about? Is that because it scares me?
Drake Jackson's been looking pretty good. Kinlaw's been looking pretty good. Yeah. Alex Barrett had some really good one-on-ones the other day. Hey, real quick, just wanted to say if people are on my channel, make sure you pop over to Aaron's, give him a like and subscribe. Same thing if you're on Aaron's, do the same for me. Also, if you're watching on a PC, open up another tab. Watch on both shows at the same time.
Or if you're on Twitter, get off of Twitter and come to YouTube.
Yeah, come on over here where you can comment and actually like and subscribe. Yeah, get off of Twitter. Twitter's just to let you know what's going on. It's not for you to sit there and watch the whole time. Yeah. Also, if you're watching on a phone, you can't watch too. But if you have a phone and a tablet, you can watch it on both devices. So get those views up, folks. We need them.
Yeah, come on, guys. We can't get 20 people in here. No, I'm just kidding. Kidding. Yeah. So, what's your take on the edge rusher situation?
I mean, Drake Jackson's doing well. Like I said, Alex Barrett, not so much in team drills, but in the one-on-ones, Alex Barrett was crushing it. I think it was like Sunday or Monday. So maybe he's fallen back to earth. He was just looking really quick and hard. Hard to block, I should say. Pause. So
I knew it was coming.
I mean, I think we're waiting to see what we got and there's no rush. And Ngakwe's still out there. We could always trade for somebody like a Montez Sweat or a Chase Young potentially. So I think they're waiting to see what the bigger need is, whether the bigger need is defensive end or right tackle, because I think both of those could be, especially now that Jalen Moore got injured. Bone bruises can be pretty serious. So hopefully his is the
they
more
can take a while.
Yeah. But I like what I've seen so far. I don't think it's a huge deficiency. And like I said, we haven't even seen Bosa yet. So, I mean, I think with Bosa, Hargrave, Armstead, Kinlaw, and Drake Jackson, I think we're going to be pretty much okay. I think we're going to be pretty dominant, actually, I'm going to say. Well, but I'm not going to count on Kinlaw. Right? So, the way we talk about Mitchell, same thing with Kinlaw. But so far, at least this camp, knock on wood, he's been holding up and showing out. So
I gotta give my guy where is he? Brian Culp, I gotta give him a wrench. Well, they got this stupid thing on here with the hearts and everything. Got
Dion from Niner Gang podcast in the house too.
Brian, it says that you are a moderator. Was it you that says? I'm lost. What's going on? I hit the like button on both channels, but Aaron and Bashar gave me, he wants a wrench from you, Ted.
Oh,
you got to give a wrench.
You can catch a ball. Is that?
Yes, exactly.
Dodgeball, great movie.
Niner Game Podcast. Dion says no, hell no on Chase Young. No thanks. 100% agree. People are like, yeah, let's make the move for Chase Young. No.
We already have one.
He's essentially another D Ford. If anybody, I say Justin Houston. Give me a Justin Houston. Old, cheap, 10 sacks.
I wanted Zadarius. Oh, the other one would be Danielle Hunter is up for trade. He's pretty good. He's a 10 sack guy on the Vikings, which is not a very good defense.
What would the Niners have to give up? A 4th rounder, maybe?
I don't know. I'd do it.
I would too.
He's pretty good. I wanted Zadarius. The one I wanted was Zadarius Smith, but we already missed that action. So,
Dion says Yannick and Justin Houston. Yep, those are my two guys. Those are my two guys.
I just feel like Yannick wants a big deal for a lot of years.
There's a reason why he hasn't been signed. His agent and him are on crack. Not for nothing against anybody who does crack, but just he's on it because
I'm more
there's
of a
no
meth
way.
guy, personally.
You're more of a meth guy.
Yeah.
I don't do any drugs, but I love soda pop.
You can tell by my sunken and beady eyes and my teeth falling out. So, sorry. All right. Stay off that. Yeah.
Let's talk Colton McKivitz. How good does he look to you?
Very good. Very good. Yeah. Colton has been, not so surprising. We had a feeling he would be better in pass blocking. He's been pretty good. That's the consensus. Everything I've seen and read and heard.
He said he's held up
He
really
was
well in one-on-ones.
one-on-ones. I was just gonna say in the one-on-ones that was one that was on the near field the other day, a Sunday or Monday, and yeah, we were all keeping an eye on him, and he did really well. The surprising one was Burford kind of got abused, but also in one-on-ones, like guard doesn't really play one-on-one. Guard plays in a phone booth between tackle and center. So if the tackle and center never get off the ball, guards out there in space, it's more like playing tackle. And so maybe I'll make that excuse for him because he hasn't seen bad in team drills, but Burford definitely was a surprise.
Well, some corners get cooked
victim.
in one-on-ones, but they look really good in team individual. Because I'm sorry, if you're going against a guy that's got 4.3 speed and you miss a jam, it happened to freaking. I mean, he was old and kind of past his prime, Richard Sherman. But how about the Niner says
Silly
that's
Funky
what I've been.
with the meth dad joke. Ted, don't meth with that stuff.
Boom. Pause.
Wah, wah, wah.
How about the Niners says that's what I've been saying all season. What's that?
I said he's a Rams fan, but he's pretty cool.
He's subbed to my channel a long time ago, and he's one of the best. Him and Peo. Peo, if anybody doesn't know, Peo Time is a
great. Yeah.
Canadian Rams fan. He's probably my favorite Rams content creator because not only is he a great content creator, but he's a really good human being, God-fearing human being. So, whether you're into that stuff or not, just as a human, he's really good. So if you're a Rams fan and you don't know who he is, you need to know. Peo Time. Payotime.
Zach.
Zach. He's a ginger like me. He says that's what I've been saying all season. Bring in Houston for exactly those points. Baltimore, what does it say? Paid him $3.5 million last year for exactly. And to me, it's more of like you bring him in as an insurance policy if the young guys don't perform. But if he's in there and he performs, but the young guys perform too, then you're comfortable moving off of him the next season. He's essentially a 1-year rental. He's insurance just in case guys play like poop. But if they don't play like poop and he plays good and they play good, then it's just, it's all good, right? So, let's talk. I want to ask you about Jake Moody, the kicker. I heard he's been fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So far, really I mean, we haven't seen him in a game. Mm-mm. We're talking about practice. Not a game. I've heard nothing but positive stuff about him from pretty much everybody. They showed a kick where he made, I think, was it 55 yards? That thing was good by another 10 yards. There was a wall behind it. Probably would have kept going. That's, for a guy like, as much as we love Robbie Gould, that guy had absolutely a dead leg. He was forced to do kickoffs because Wisnowski couldn't do them. And, our special teams suffered. Now that doesn't matter because now I think teams, at the way that the rules have changed, but essentially he's now becomes a very important piece of this team because they can essentially say, oh, we're within 50 yards. Oh, we'll go for it. He got a guy who can hit from 55. So he changes a lot of things for the 49ers. They could actually get points out of something. Instead of getting none, they get 3. What's your take on Jake Moody?
Yeah, I think he just missed his first field goal on Tuesday. Yeah. So he's doing really well. Banging them, like you said. I mean, I think there was somewhere he had to take some off of him so that he didn't punch it over the wall out onto the road. That kind of takes you back to Levi's in the parking lot.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah,
scary at the same time if he's hitting cars.
Yeah, he's been booming them for sure. And somebody called him Legatron, which it was kind of already taken by.
That is a great name, Legatron.
Yeah.
But Brian Culp is all about Jake Moody. I think he even has a Jake Moody jersey.
He does. And I know he's got like 4 pictures on all 4 corners of his overlay too. So
yeah, because some people, I'm not naming who they are, gave him just absolute crap because he was all for the move, and a lot of people are saying you don't do that, you don't spend draft picks, and I understand the argument because essentially that was a 4th round pick anyways because it was compensatory.
Right.
So it was after the fact. That was an after the fact pick. And then if you think about it, the Patriots right after selected a kicker. So the
Ryland,
Niners
Chad
must have had
Ryland.
some intel that they were going to have to make that move. So if we wouldn't have gotten him and we would have gotten the second guy, 49er fans would have been pissed off too. So in the end, you can't win. You just make the move. Who cares? Clown Man, I haven't seen him in a long time. So what's going on, fellas? Long time. What's your thoughts on Taco overload or a 3 and a 4 sack potential? Good to see you. Congrats on channel success. Thanks. I appreciate that. He's one of my oldest subscribers. Man, I'm having a hard time talking today.
I like that he signed on a Tuesday, so it was a Taco Tuesday.
It was definitely Taco Tuesday. Yeah, his first game in or time in practice, they said he had a really good time. So
he looked really good Tuesday.
I mean, he's
and
never really been a success
today either.
What's
so
that?
I mean, when we're talking about Drake Jackson and stuff, then you got to talk about Taco too.
Yeah,
had some Cowboys fans come at me about it, like, "Oh, who's going to tell him? Who's going to tell him?" And I was like, "Who's going to tell you that Chris Kasarik got Arden Key paid, Ebicom paid, and Charles Omenihu paid?" And then I had some Seahawks fan come at me and try and say, "Well, Ebicom didn't get paid. It's been 2 years, and the salary went up the same with the cap." And I'm like, "What the F are you talking about, bro? He got 2 years, $12 million from us. He got 3 years, 24 from the Colts. He got a $9 million signing bonus that was, is basically almost as much as he got from us in 2 years. He got, plus whatever his base was for this year. He got 11 and change in 2023, almost as much in 2023 as he got in 21 and 22 from us. So, like, I was like, dude, just go away. You're making an insane comment to try and say that this isn't a great raise that we got.
I think part of it too, Ted, is that people aren't 49er fans. They don't know the overarching success of Chris Kasarik and guys who don't do anything, that underperform, and then they come to the 49ers. He gets a hold of them, and all of a sudden they become a household name, and then they go somewhere else and they go back to sucking. So it's pretty much they have a certain way that they rush the passer, and they have a certain way that he coaches. He's an absolute psychopath, but he's a psychopath in a good way. Like, that's what you want as a pass rush coach. You want a guy that's going to pass out from exhaustion or losing his gas from his breath because he's screaming so much. So just don't have a brain aneurysm. That's all we want. None of that.
A lot of expletives. You could hear him at camp. He's cursing.
Yeah, he's got a very dirty mouth.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't bring the kids to training camp. What you think about this is an older topic, but the Frank Gore front office move. I thought it was I know it's old news, 49er fans, so you don't attack me. But I thought it was great. I think Frank Gore is one of the greatest 49ers of all time. I think he's a Hall of Fame running back. He's number 3 all time. People say, no, he's not a Hall of Famer. Really? If you go into the top 3 in rushing yards in NFL history, you're a Hall of Famer. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care.
Yeah.
He was never the number 1 this. Doesn't matter. Top 3 all-time rushing yards, Hall of Famer. That's it. That's my argument.
And that's not the only one, too. We also hired Deshaun Goldson from that same era. The hard-hitting safety. A lot of people like to say Dante Hittner, but Goldson was the one who really laid the lumber of those 2 safeties.
They used to give baptisms on the field. They used to get baptisms on the field.
Goldson was like...
It was more of one of fire.
He got in, just before it was too late to really tenderize people like that anymore. So nowadays he'd just be getting flagged left and right and center. But yeah, I like both of those moves. I'm glad we're bringing back some people from the Harbaugh era, our only other glory days since basically the 90s, essentially, or early 2000s, let's say, with
Jeff Garcia.
That
defense was
another ginger buddy of yours.
I used to have a Garcia jersey back in the day, and I used to wear my hair really short. So my nickname, a couple of the guys that I grew up with, he used to call me Garcia. That was my nickname.
Except for you're taller. Isn't he only like 6'1" or so?
Not maybe 6 foot. Yeah, I'm a lot bigger. I have a bigger frame, wider shoulders, bigger. I'm girthier. Pause.
Speaking of that, somebody today called me short round, and I was like, "Oh, it's 6'0" short." Yeah, Jag. Yeah, I mean, I am round. I get that. I'm not going to argue that part, but
I'm more like evenly distributed with my weight. But I'm definitely not skinny either.
Yeah,
Some
it's like,
people have
come on.
weird shapes. They
He's
look like
always
Grimace,
short. What is this?
Well,
Maybe on a basketball team.
he's probably five. The guy's probably 5'3".
Probably.
He's probably like some little guy. And he's all mad because he's so small. He's got to call somebody else little. He's got issues.
That was that character from Indiana Jones, right? Short Round. Wasn't that the like the little kid who was?
No, that was Hook. He was a fat kid that could roll into a ball, and then they used him as like a bowling ball to knock people over.
What was the one from like the later Indiana Jones, like Temple of Doom, and anyway, what? Because he wasn't round at all. He was just short. The little. Anyway, I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, little kid.
He said there was 16,000 yards on the spot for Gore. I'm not sure. I have to look at that. That's impressive.
Yeah, I mean he's up there top. He's like top 3 yards and top 4.
And this is a guy you essentially blew both knees out in college.
Mm-hmm.
And then barely missed any games as a 49er. McCrary Ball, how's he looking? Marcelino, I heard he's had a pretty decent camp.
I think he's been good. DFF's been good. D Winters picked off Trey Lance today.
It seems to be a competition for that third linebacker spot. Do you think anybody has an edge on it? Do you think that's Flanagan Foles or Odom's job to have, or do you think
not Odom? Odom's the safety. Oren Burks.
Yeah.
Oren Burks. Yeah, I mean, I got the feeling about Oren Burks from OTAs and minicamp, and sure enough, he was starting. But yeah, I think a lot of people feel like any of those guys could. It could be Burks. It could be McCrary Ball. It could be maybe D Winters if he keeps going strong. Demetrius Flanagan Fowles potentially, but he just has been also ran so many times. I just can't imagine him not being more of just a special teamer guy again. But yeah, I think I could see any of those guys doing it. I haven't heard much from Jalen Graham. He was strong in OTAs and minicamp and in training camp. I can't remember seeing or hearing anything about him. But yeah, we got so many people. We'll probably have to trade one of those guys away to, anyone you stick out on the practice squad will get nabbed, I think, out of that group.
One of the guys that we actually traded away actually got hurt with the Broncos today. Jonas Griffith. He's out for the year.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That's a bummer.
I forgot exactly what he injured, but yeah, the Broncos already have like 2 or 3 players out for the season. And they haven't.
Oh yeah, Tim Patrick did his Achilles after doing his ACL. That's brutal. Yeah.
Sounds like the 49ers. Knock on wood.
Like Clay Thompson, yeah.
Let's see. There's been talk of Kinlaw having a great camp. I know that he said it's funny now. I listened to Kasurik, and Kasurik sounded like he was kind of standing up for him, almost emotionally, about just how much he's had to deal with injuries. Now, I personally don't like the guy. I think he's kind of a toolbox, but I deal with knee injuries, and I'm a lot older than him, and I can understand how much it can hamper normal life, let alone athletics, where you got to be explosive and strong. But it seems like this is the first year in a long time where his knees feel really good, at least for now. And it's paying off with how he's looked so far in camp. The thing is, translated to the game is what I really love to see. I don't know if he's playing hard because he knows he's going to be a free agent next year. That might be part of his motivation. They said he looks a lot slimmer and in shape. So you say that he's looked pretty good so far?
Yeah, outstanding. I mean, if Ayuk is the best overall and maybe the best on offense, maybe Kinlaw is the best on defense. I mean, I was going to say about the linebackers, Fred and Dre have been hitting a lot of people and starting fights basically by hitting. You're not supposed to tackle running backs, and they were tackling Elijah Mitchell a lot. It could be why his abductor got pulled, was from being tackled too. No, it's a real shame. And then people stood up to them, and there was a fight, and and Fred did it last year with Ayuk, where he and Ayuk got into a couple fights last year in training camp. So
yeah, you want to protect your own guys. You don't want to.
Yeah, that bothers me. But yeah, as far as Kinlaw goes, really good. really, really good. Just knock on wood. We'll hope it continues for the whole season, and I hope he plays well enough to get paid, and even if it's on another team, he could be that missing piece that we need to get us home to take 6.
What's your take on? And we're gonna wrap this up very shortly. Wide receivers. I heard that Ronnie Bell's done okay, and Chris Conley's kind of been a little bit of a standout, at least early in camp. Maybe not so much lately. Do you think the Niners might have themselves something in the back of that depth chart with Bell and Conley? Conley seems like one of those guys. He's kind of like one of those stories of because I remember a couple years ago we had that one guy that did really well in camp, and then he's on the Dolphins now. He's a real fast guy. I forget.
Sherfield, Trent Sherfield.
Yeah. What's your take on Ronnie Bell and most notably Chris Conley?
I hadn't heard much from Ronnie Bell till the other day, and then he got a couple of 3 catches. So I was glad to see that. Yeah, Conley, that might be Trey Lance's favorite target. He or Tay Martin have gotten a lot. So, yeah, I would say that's the order. Conley, Tay Martin, Ronnie Bell right now.
Do you think what's his name is the odd man out that we signed last year? The kick returner? Can't think of his name right now.
Oh, Ray? No. I think Ray Ray's ahead of all of them. Yeah, I'm talking about for the last 6th position or 5th position. Well, okay. Ray would be 4th after Jennings. And so I think for the 5th position, it'd be like Conley, Tay Martin, Ronnie Bell. I think Ronnie Bell will end up on the practice squad.
Interesting.
7th round pick. I think you can expose him without losing him.
And then you got the tight ends. How have the tight ends looked outside of
Braden Willis is getting a lot of targets. Latu's looking pretty good. Latu's getting good separation. He's had some drops issues, but
welcome to the team. That seems like it's an issue with all of us a lot of times.
Not like Warner, and I think Warner and Dwelly's days are numbered. Warner might make it due to blocking, but I think Dwelly's days are numbered. And so far, Braden Willis has looked a little better than Latu, but both good. Both good.
How about the Niners? Says Conley is one of the best run blocking wide receivers in the league every year, rated 80 over the last 4 seasons. Something to keep in mind. That is definitely.
That's huge.
If you're going to be on this team, you got to know how to block. You could secure a job on this team on special teams or being able to block on offense. If you can't do either, you're pretty much beat. Sorry. Special teams is huge, and this running game is the sole. That's the focus of our offense. You have to, if you're not willing to give it on offense, as far as a blocker goes, you're probably not going to see the field. That's why Jauan Jennings is so loved and coveted. He might not be that great as a receiver, but he's, he plays through the whistle, sometimes a little past it, and pisses people off. But he's a great run blocker. He's super physical. He's like T.O. without speed, if you ask me. So, that's pretty much it. Oh, go ahead.
With Braden Willis, Grant said basically he hasn't seen a rookie tight end targeted as much as Braden Willis since George Kittle. Bash said Braden Willis 4 targets today, and the other day, I can't remember if it was Monday or Tuesday, Braden Willis had 4 catches and had the most catches of the practice. So he's playing really well. So again, a lot to like. But go ahead, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say that pretty much for us, that pretty much does it. Anything going on other in camp that you've noticed, and what's going on with your channel as far as your content goes for the rest of the week?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of blanking on camp at this point. It's got a lot of thoughts running through my head. Maybe something will come to me as we wrap up here. For my channel, definitely got later today. I've got Pete Burge. Actually, it's not later today. It's in about 10 minutes. I've got Pete Burge from Niners DNA on TED Talks Ball. We had a Thursday show earlier in the season, and he had to step away for some family reasons, and now he's back. And so we're trying to get going on Thursdays every week. It's 2:45 my time, and I think 7:45 a.m. Sydney, Australia time, where he streams from on Friday. So he's tomorrow in Australia, and then tomorrow at 3 got Balling with Bash and Ted with the wonderful Mr. Bashar, and then Niner Nate hooked me up with a ticket for camp tomorrow. So he's going to
Sweet.
join us. We're going to do a 3-way at 3 tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern. Ball with Bash Ted, and for tomorrow, Niner Nate joining in.
That's awesome. Saturday, I think, is the only other stream so far this week for me. Me and Wayne Breezy, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific time. Working on another one. I'm trying to convince my guy Raj to see if he's willing to do a stream with me this week. He is a busy man outside of just football, so I don't take it personally if he says no. But cross your fingers. I'm going to beg him. I'm going to do my best to make him give in. But if not, I will see you guys on YouTube on Saturday with the one and only Wayne Breezy on my channel. Wayne's a great guy. He's the one who said to me, if we can get a schedule down, we could do a weekly show. So I might go from 3 to 4, and that's all on Wayne. Wayne, I wanted it, but I didn't want to beg for it. Wayne put it out there. So who knows? Maybe we'll have 4 shows, and then when Raj and me do the thing, when we do actually no, would it be? I forget. I'm slow, but yeah, that'd be fun. I'm looking forward to it. But
I'd watch. All right, cool.
All right, we're gonna let Ted get out of here. Everybody have a great rest of your evening and afternoon, and we'll talk to you guys later. We'll see you next Wednesday. See ya.
Peace and go Niners.